Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Subconscious Medicine. Long time no see, or long time no talk, I guess. Um, it's been a very long time since our last episode, and even longer because that one was like pre-recorded. So I haven't sat and talked to my camera in a really long time, and feel like I'm gonna need a little bit to get back into the groove of things. But hello, how are you guys? We have a lot of catching up to do. A lot has been going on. And so I think today's episode is just gonna be sort of like a chit chat, catch up with me, how life's been going, some new pretty big updates in my life. But yeah, I just want to do something like really casual. Life has been pretty hectic lately, to be quite honest, and I feel like some me time where I just get to like rant and pretty much talk to myself, but I think that time is much needed. So yeah, I'm so excited to catch up. I hope you guys are all doing well. And life's going great. I want to preface this all by saying that I'm extremely grateful for the life that I live and the people that are in it and the things that I have, and I don't know what I would do without those people that make life amazing, especially in the last few weeks where things have been kind of all over the place. I've turned to those people more than ever, and I'm just grateful that they're there to have such amazing people in my life. And I don't think we express gratitude for our friends and family enough. So I just wanted to take a moment to do that and encourage you to do the same, whether you're in a great spot in life or a tumultuous one like I am. But yeah, I just wanted to catch up today, let you guys know where I've been, what's been going on. So let's kind of start back at the beginning. So as you guys know, I started my senior year of college. That in and of itself is crazy to say out loud. I actually avoid saying that at all costs, because I can't wrap my head around the fact that in just a few months I'm going to be graduated. I've talked about this before, but I transferred universities and I also am graduating early, so my experience has been far from typical. But I'm so eternally grateful for every experience that's come my way. I transferring was scary. I tell that to anyone considering transferring or not. I like to think I'm really honest about my experience. It's hard. It's really hard. It's terrifying, but I wouldn't take it back for the world. I think that the simple fact that I've gotten to experience two different universities that are drastically different from one another provides me with a really unique perspective on the education system, and I really, really value that perspective that I have that most of my peers don't get to experience, those that attend only one university. So I have grown to become eternally grateful for that experience. My previous institution was really not for me, but I that does not mean that I didn't learn anything from it or I didn't have a great time or I didn't meet some amazing people. I certainly did, and for that I'm really, really grateful. I think that that's where I needed to be my freshman year of college, and I think where I am now is where I need to be. So that also just made me think of this setting, this backdrop, not the typical. We'll talk about this in just a moment. But anyways, yeah. So I'm in my senior year of college, and it's bittersweet. I didn't intend to graduate early. This is not something I did on purpose. It just kind of worked out this way between AP courses and credit transfers and so on and so forth. And I was really, really resistant to this when the idea was first proposed to me. Nothing seemed right. I had transferred universities. I loved this new school that I was attending. Why on earth would I want to cut it short? And, I thought more about it, and then I kind of went to the other oh my goodness, the other extreme side of things where I was like, "Okay, this makes the most sense financially." I save a year's worth of tuition. That's money that can go towards literally anything else, living, graduate school, whatever my next step is. And so financially, it made a lot of sense. And so then I was like, "Okay, all aboard. We're gonna graduate early." And then, I sort of found myself in the middle ground. I could see the pros and cons, and I really got wrapped up in my head about this. I met with a lot of different advisors at school. I talked with a lot of different family and friends that know me well about this, and I've come to the conclusion that I need to just take it for what it is. It's a unique opportunity. It's not one I saw for myself, but it seems a little too good to pass up. It's unfortunate that I'm losing a year of undergrad and the experiences that come with it, but my education journey is not over, which I'll chat about in a little bit. And so I think that this is just the path for me. And I think it's what makes most sense right now. Also, I have 6 credits left, so which is less than 2 classes because at UT, our classes are 4 credits apiece. So, it's literally less than 2 classes, so I genuinely not even sure what classes I would take if I wanted to drag myself out another year. So, it really just it makes the most sense for me. I have been talking to a lot of people who are considering graduating early or maybe are on this similar path and they want to hear my perspective about it. And I'm really grateful that they value my opinion and want to hear me out and what I have to say about it. I'm not all for it or all against it. I think it depends on the person and sort of the give and take, what do you have to give up and what do you gain from that experience, and sort of measuring that on your own. For me, it seems right. But I think that is a individual decision, and I'm not here to say that, oh, everyone should graduate early or everyone should try to graduate early. That's definitely not what I'm saying. And I'm also not saying that people should avoid graduating early. I think you need to do what's best for you, and ultimately you can ask all the people you want and hear them out, and I think those opinions can be helpful, but you know you best, and you've got to make a decision for yourself. And so I've come to the decision that this is what's best for me. And so yeah, I'm in my senior year, and it has been nothing short of hectic. A lot of extenuating circumstances have made the past 7 or 8 weeks that I've been in school really crazy. Also, the fact that I've been in school for 7 or 8 weeks already, absolutely absurd. Like, I cannot wrap my head around that. This year is flying by, and I say that every semester. Every semester goes by so fast, but, like, this one particularly feels like it's just flying by. I don't know if it's the senior status that's making it seem like it's going by so quick. I don't know. Whatever it is, though, it's flying by, and it's just making me really present and, encouraging me to appreciate the little moments, and I'm really trying to do that. Um, but yeah, so senior year classes are going okay. I'm in 5 psych courses, so a lot of this stuff is like hitting really close to home, but I do love it, so it's okay. I appreciate learning about the brain and human behavior. That's what I love learning about. And so it really helps once you get those like annoying gen eds out of the way and you really just get to focus on what it is that you're interested in. It makes going to class and doing assignments and studying a lot more manageable. Speaking of studying, I feel like I've had my head in a book 24/7 this semester. I don't know what it is, but my classes don't feel like particularly harder than any classes I've taken in the past, but I just find myself studying constantly, and honestly, I don't hate it. Like, I love being a student, hot take. And that sort of gets us into our discussion later about grad school. But I really do love being a student, and I, you know, college is hard. Okay. I'm not here to say that it's easy, and I recognize that it's not for everyone. However, college is the biggest privilege I've ever experienced, and I have come to appreciate the challenges that come with being a college student because I recognize that they're challenges that not that other people avoid, but rather they don't get to experience, right? They don't get the opportunity to go to college for financial reasons, for a million other reasons. Um, but I am so lucky that not only can I attend college, I've attended two. I've attended two private institutions that have really, really, really incredible resources and wonderful faculty members, and just amazing things. My second institution being thousands and thousands of miles away from home, and another experience that not a lot of people get. And I'm just so lucky. I mean, even looking in my family alone, me and my siblings and the other like grandkids, so to speak, I'm by far the furthest away from home. My Most of my family members have gone to school within the Northeast somewhere, um, all along the East Coast, but I'm definitely the furthest. And going to school away from home is definitely a unique experience. I do not think it's for everyone, but I think I really needed to get out of my bubble, and I'm so grateful that I ended up in Florida. I've come to love it, and again, like I wouldn't take it away for the world. But yeah, I've just come to realize how privileged I am to go to a wonderful institution and just have systems in place for my success. And it's such a wonderful feeling knowing that all of my hard work is really paying off. And I know we all go through slumps where it feels like we're not getting anywhere and it feels like we're just going through the motions. And I certainly have been in those situations as well. I'm not exempt from that experience by any means, but when you near the end, I think it all begins to click that your hard work is, it really is paying off, and it's sort of cultivating this unique perspective that you can take into a workforce that will make you a valuable asset to a um, a professional role. And I am really looking forward to that and being able to sort of execute my potential in a professional setting post graduation, whether that's in grad school or in a job setting, either way. But I know that my experiences will serve me well and I will be successful in my desired field. And that's not something that everyone can say. And so, like I said, I've come to an extreme level of gratitude for that experience. Now, I simultaneously to these 5 classes and work and etc. I am applying to grad school. As I mentioned, I love school, and I've always known that I wanted to go to graduate school. I knew that 4 years of undergrad would not be it for me, although financially I kind of wish. But no, I know that's not for me. I know there's more school in my future. However, the grad school search has not been easy. I, for one, thought I was going to take a gap year rather, um, but I kind of feel ready. And I don't want to pass up that feeling. I know that there's a lot of stigma around taking a gap year and like, oh, you'll never go back and blah, blah, blah. That is so not true. Most people I know have taken a gap year or are going to take a gap year, and I'm confident that they will go back to school. And the people I know that have did go back to school. So I want to just nip that in the bud because that is just simply not true. Maybe it was that case. Maybe that was the case at some point in time, but it's not true anymore. And if taking a gap year is what's best for you, please do it. Please don't do it because other people scare you away from it. I think it is the right decision actually for most people, and I encourage it so much. I have friends and family members who again are considering it or have done it, and I think it's a great opportunity to get your foot in the door and start working, save a little bit of money, explore the world. There's so much you can do in a year, and I think that for a lot of people the growth that happens in that year makes them 10 times the candidate that they would have been if they had applied directly out of undergrad. So definitely don't throw that option down the drain. But for me personally, I love, love, love school. And I don't want to diminish that passion by taking some time off. And on top of that, I have come to the conclusion that I think I am closer to knowing what I want to do in life than I give myself credit. Um, this year, I've spent a lot of time talking to different professors and advisors and professionals in the field with like doing sort of informational interviews, informal and not, about my career plan. If you don't know, I'm studying psychology in undergrad, and as I mentioned, I love psych. I love my courses, I love what I'm learning. However, these undergraduate degrees in psychology are designed to produce mental health professionals, so counselors, therapists, etc. Right? And that's amazing. Props to you guys who want to engage in like traditional therapy or counseling services, different mental health providers. However, that's not where my interest lies. I'm a really macro level thinker, big picture, systematic. I don't do well looking at things from like a much smaller scale. That one-on-one interaction between patient and, or I mean, rather, practitioner and client, that's not something that I strive for. I don't see myself working in that one-on-one setting. I don't see myself owning my own practice. I don't see myself delivering therapeutic services. Again, that's amazing work, and we certainly need more of those people in the field. And I can point out some of my classmates that I think are going to do an incredible job at delivering those services to certain populations. However, I don't think that I would be fulfilling my personal potential and utilizing my personal skills and expertise by doing that type of work. Instead, I want to do some more systematic, macro level um, professional work. So, what does that mean? Well, I have a particular interest and fascination in the foster care system and the juvenile justice system. I love working with kids. I have a true passion for our youth. However, I've worked in multiple different settings, one on one with children, and as much as I love that, I think I communicate the same way my brain thinks, and I don't think my brain thinks in a way that is uh, understandable to a 5 or 6 year old. I think that I articulate myself best amongst a room of other adults rather than a room of children. And so I see myself working with other adults that directly impact our youth. And in terms of an interest in the foster care and the juvenile justice system, I have had that passion for a really long time. I've always known that that's sort of the population I want to work within. The hesitation, however, has been okay, we have this population, great. How do I want to have contact with that population? So, what role do I personally want to have? What educational background do I want to acquire to touch that population, right? There's a lot of people, a lot of professionals involved in the lives of those populations, and which one is best for me? So, do I want to be a caseworker? Do I want to be a social worker? Do I want to be a therapist? Do I want to be a lawyer, a judge, a child advocate? There's a lot of opportunities there, and I've struggled with thinking about how I want to touch that population. Again, which degree, which educational background, which expertise do I want to build and solidify to best be able to see the changes in that system that I want to see? And the answer, in part, remains I don't know. But what I do know, again, is the roles I don't want. So, and I just want to take a moment to pause and say that these are big decisions, right? Deciding what you want to do for the rest of your life, deciding where you want to go to college. These are big decisions, and there's really the first big decisions we make in our life. They're really, really complicated, and we don't give ourselves enough credit for thinking about these things and deciding what's best for us. And it's hard. I have not had an easy time doing it, and I'm still a little bit lost, but I'm beginning to sort of, practice grace with myself and just give myself the room and the space and the time to think these things through, because it's not all happening overnight. I have time, and that's a luxury. So, yeah, so I know, deciding what you don't want to do is just as helpful as deciding what you do want to do and eliminating those so that we can really focus on the careers that are interesting to us, and then what are the commonalities, what are the skill sets required for these fields, which of those skills most parallels my personal skills, and so on and so forth. So, How do I want to touch the system? Well, I don't want to be a therapist. I don't want to be a counselor. I don't really want to do one on one work. So, what about a social worker? Well, a social worker still is a mental health professional by trade, right? So, maybe there's some therapeutic services or general like mental health counseling requirements as part of that job. But there's some flexibility with where I work. Maybe I'm engaged in some more group setting type of therapeutic services. Maybe I'm not really doing that at all, depending on the needs of my my professional, what's the word? Like my depending on where I'm working. So there's a lot of flexibility in that degree because it is a little bit more general, but it still gets at the behavioral practices that I'm interested in. It still gets at my undergraduate degree in psychology, which would certainly provide me, a great background in entering a social work degree. So that's an option that seems exciting to me. What else? Well, I am really interested in populations that are rooted in our criminal system, right? So, what about criminology? Well, I didn't major in undergrad in criminology, which for a long time made me resistant to this, but I think that a graduate degree in criminology would spark my interest like no other. I think that I would thoroughly enjoy the coursework, and I would have a true passion and interest in the content. The downside to a degree in criminology potentially is that it's not necessarily associated with a career. So unlike an MSW where, you you major in social work and you graduate with a degree in social work and therefore you are a social worker, there's a direct correlation with a particular career. There's not really that in criminology. You can do a lot of different things in criminology, and that lack of direction is making me a little bit resistant to it, on top of the fact that I didn't do my undergrad in criminology, and so my in sort of imposter syndrome is talking here, but maybe that I won't be as valuable as an applicant, because my undergrad isn't in that. However, I have come to realize that that's not the case, and my psychology degree will serve as a unique perspective that some other students and peers won't have, and that in and of itself will give me a unique perspective, possibly even an advantage in applying. So, social work is an option, criminology is an option, and then finally, law. Um, I, as I mentioned, have been doing a lot of career exploration. I've been talking to a lot of people. I've been trying to hear from people who know a ton about me, so close family and friends, and then also people who know nothing about me. I think that both are really unique perspectives and both can be really helpful. In terms of people that know everything about me, they know my skill set, they know who I am as an individual in terms of like characteristics and personality traits. They know things that I'm not good at as well. And because they know me so much, I think it's easy for them to imagine me in a particular career field, and then hearing their perspective about why I would be good at that or not good at that, can be really, really helpful to hear sort of, a unbiased perspective, but one that is knowledgeable of my individual character. But then on top of that, I think hearing sort of an objective view of professional opportunities can be really helpful too. And so I've been trying to hear from people who don't know me well. I've been I've been sitting with professors who I've never had and giving them a 5-minute spiel about what my interests are, and just genuinely asking, what do you think I'd be best at? And hearing what they have to say. And some of them answer with a little bit more reluctance than others, but I think that someone who can just see you at face value and understand your passions and your goals and your interests, and then try to pinpoint career fields that might ignite those passions, I think can be really, really, really helpful because they don't limit you in the same way that I might limit myself. So I've been trying to hear from a lot of people, and the career that keeps coming up from both sides, from people that know me well and people who don't know me at all, is law. I never saw myself being a lawyer. I Even saying that out loud is crazy. Like I just didn't foresee myself in that position. But the more I think about it, the more that becomes like my dream career, I think. People have asked me sort of unironically, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Just to see what I say, because I'm sort of in this state of a little bit of confusion. And when I really think about it, end goal, being a lawyer seems incredible. Being a lawyer specifically for this population, of course, but I think about the type of change, the type of reform that I want to see within these systems, and I think to myself, what better background to have, what better position to be in than to be a lawyer who can enact the change that will directly allocate resources to our working professionals, to our social workers and caseworkers to better support our youth in these systems. And that just sounds like right up my alley. Um, again, it accentuates my strength in seeing things from a macro level, or sort of big picture, but still wanting to directly help children and having an interest in this particular population. It just seems like a great fit. Now, that being said, I'm not ready for law school now. And I think that if that is something that happens, it will happen down the line. So, what am I doing now? Well, I'm applying to graduate schools of all types. I'm applying to some social work programs, I'm applying to some criminology programs, and I'm applying to some really unique dual degree programs. They are MSW JD dual degrees. So essentially, you get your master's in social work and then you go directly into law. And you graduate as a social worker and a lawyer, and that combo seems incredible to me. Those programs are really, really exciting, and I think that they're super fitting for my interests and what I want to do. So, those are really exciting. I'm applying again to all three of those programs, a handful of schools. I really want to stay in Florida, so almost all of them are in Florida. There are a few in the Connecticut, New York area because that's where I'm from, and I want to have options if I choose to move back home and maybe commute to school or whatever the case may be. But mostly in Florida, I really do love it in Florida, and I love the life that I've created for myself there, and I do see myself staying, to be quite honest. So that's where I've landed. We're applying to grad school, working on personal statement, doing all the things. It's very overwhelming. I give credit to anybody else going through this right now, especially doing it while you're in school. This is why a gap year rather, is so enticing, because you get to do it when you're not in school at the same time. Obviously, you're probably working, but like it's easier to balance than when you're taking 5 courses and working and applying to grad school at once. That is a lot. So please, if you know anyone in your life that's applying to grad school right now, please just give them grace and give them credit and let them know that they're doing great, and just acknowledge the hard work, please, because it goes overlooked a lot of the time, and we need to give those students more credit. Um, so yeah, I actually can't believe I'm talking about this so openly and confidently right now, because over the last few weeks, I've had, again, a lot of these conversations, and I'm usually really resistant and hesitant to advocate for myself because I feel I'm letting the peer pressure get to me a little bit, or I have been. All of my classmates, whether they want to take a gap year or not, it seems like, and again, I'm probably overgeneralizing, but most of them want to be a therapist or a counselor. And I think that's awesome. Again, we need those people. But it has been a little isolating to be like the only one in a classroom who really does not see that for myself. It feels in part like I'm not fitting in, like I'm not doing the right thing, but I know I am. I know I needed to major in psychology in undergrad to get me to this place. And I really, really value my education, but sometimes it just feels like I'm not that they're taking the easy route out, because I don't want to make it seem like that career is easy. What I just mean is it's the very linear path. Like, okay, undergrad in psychology, graduate school in psych, to be a psychologist, to be a therapist, to be a counselor, so on and so forth. So that feels like the really linear, direct path. And again, not that the school is easy, but that path in and of itself, like planning wise, is easier than sort of a little bit of redirection like I'm doing. So I envy them a little bit. And I think that makes me jealous that I don't have this type of linear path. But again, I know that's not for me. And I've come to terms with that reluctantly, but I have come to terms with that. And I'm really excited for what postgrad's going to bring me. I'm not shutting out the idea of a gap year. You know, I'm applying, I'm putting my name in. We're going to see where we get in. And if 6 months from now I'm still ready to go right into grad school, a lot can change. I can always defer my start date, or is that the word? I don't remember, but like say I'm going to start a semester a year later or whatever, I could always not go and reapply the next year. Like there are a million options, and so I'm learning to just take it as it goes. You know, I'm going to apply, I'm going to do my best, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Grad school will always be there. I can always go in the future, but I do think that I'm ready, and I just want to get started right away. So again, we're going to do everything we can to make that happen. And if it doesn't happen, that's okay. That means I'm not supposed to be there at that point in time, and we'll figure it out along the way. So that's grad school. Wow. Okay, that's already been a lot of updates, but that lands us on where I am right now. If you guys didn't know, Florida has, specifically the west coast of Florida, but Florida has been experiencing some really, really, really destructive hurricanes in the last few weeks. Hurricane Helene came in about 2 weeks ago to the Tampa Bay area, and it affected lots of other cities within Tampa as well as outside of Tampa. Kind of went right up into, Georgia and the Carolinas, and so there's a ton of communities affected by this weather, and speaking for Tampa specifically, the St. Pete, Clearwater area has been really, really affected by this weather, and it's devastating. I've been driving through the area, even areas of Tampa. If you guys are familiar with Davis Island, that's like my safe space. I spend so much time there. It's the best place to see a sunset. I go there this summer. I went there at minimum 5 days a week. I'm not even joking. There's a little airport there that I like to hang out at and just relax and decompress. It's gorgeous, a gorgeous area of Tampa, and it's honestly unrecognizable. Driving through it was tough, honestly. Just to see piles and piles of, um, you know, like everything people own just on the street, because it had been so destroyed from flooding. So it's extremely unfortunate. And, I volunteered, and as did a lot of the Tampa community this past week, to help put meals on the table, to help, people clear out their homes and do what they have to do to get their family in a safe home again. And for those whose homes are not, who are unlivable and not able to be worked on at all, they just, they're completely gone. Try to find those people housing until they can either get a new home or move, or whatever. So the Tampa Bay community and all the other communities affected by Hurricane Helene are really, really struggling. But Tampa specifically is currently getting hit with another hurricane. And again, it's it's really unbelievable. I have lived in Florida for about a year and a half now, and as a student, and as someone who comes from the Northeast, we don't get weather like this. Even hurricanes aside, our typical tropical storms that happen once a week, the Northeast never sees storms like that. The rain, the winds, it's not the same at all. And, weather comes no matter where you live, no matter where you go to school. I was having this conversation with my parents, they're scared for me and my friends and the rest of our community because, again, they're not used to it and they don't know what to expect and they don't know how best to prepare and so on. And I was having this conversation actually just an hour or so ago with my father, and I said, no matter where you live, there's weather. We live up north and the snow to us is second nature and we know how to handle it and we have the infrastructure to come right back to work the day after a snowstorm. It's very feasible. We have snowplows that come and we have resources to melt snow and to, all these things, right? You live on the West Coast, you live in California, you get these crazy, crazy mudslides and forest fires and earthquakes. And then you live in the Midwest and maybe you get, tornadoes and along like Tornado Alley or Tornado Valley, whatever it's called. Like there's weather no matter where you are. Um, you know, Tampa or Florida in general, we have tropical storms, we have hurricanes. It's the season. It's hurricane season right now, and it's scary, especially when you didn't grow up there and you're not used to it, and you again maybe don't know how to best prepare. But you learn, you follow what the local authorities recommend, and you do your best, and you help out your community where you can. And so, as much as we've been hurt by Hurricane Helene. We have another hurricane set to hit Tampa tonight or tomorrow morning. One that is probably going to be the worst hurricane we've seen in years and years and years, and it's terrifying. So, my zone was put under mandatory evacuation, and yeah, so we had to leave. It's really unfortunate that this is the case, but I tried to book a flight home. Now, granted, I live in Connecticut, so I can fly to about 6 airports and that are considered home. Any of the New York airports, Jersey, like Newark, the airport in Connecticut, Hartford, even Boston is not too far, and literally no flights under $1,000. And the one or two flights that weren't fully booked, I, you know, again, I don't have over $1,000 to just blow on a flight. So that seemed crazy. And it's really unfortunate that they rack up the prices like that. Plus, on top of a lot of family things going on, the idea of my parents being able to come pick me up from the airport maybe wasn't super feasible. And so there weren't many options, but I did know I had to leave. And most of Florida wasn't really safe. So my what I ended up doing, because the Tampa airport ended up closing, I drove to Orlando, which should only take about an hour and a half, if that. It's only like 72 miles. And it took me probably 2.5 hours. Traffic in Tampa was insane because of everyone trying to get out. The governor actually shut down all tolls, so tolls were completely free to encourage people to leave, as well as they opened all breakdown lanes for traffic. So that did really help move traffic along. So I'm grateful for that. But traffic was pretty bad trying to get out of the city. I'm right in the heart of downtown too, which doesn't help. But um, you know, everything was shut down in Tampa when I left. There was no gas in the entire city. No gas stations had gas. They'd all run out. Really grateful I had gotten gas the day before, or else I would have been kind of screwed. So yeah, I was able to get out of the city. I drove to Orlando. I had a flight on Tuesday. Again, the hurricane's supposed to hit Wednesday, and the Tampa airport already shut down. I had a flight on Tuesday at 4 p.m. And it was delayed 5 hours because there was no pilot. So that was really, really unfortunate. But I'm just grateful that I was able to get out. Honestly, the delay is not what bothered me. The thing that scared me about the delay, though, was would the weather be so bad by the time 9 p.m. rolled around that we wouldn't be able to actually take off? In which case, I really don't know what I would have done. Honestly, probably just got in my car and drove as far north as I could, hoping to get to maybe Jacksonville or even into like a neighboring state if I could. But by the grace of God, we got up in the air, and I'm so grateful that me and other people were able to get out. My thoughts go out to the people that couldn't evacuate. Um, you know, again, this hurricane is going to be some of the most dangerous and severe weather the Tampa Bay community has ever seen. And so I can't help but think about the people who are there, as well as the people whose lives and homes are going to be affected. I live in a high rise apartment, and so I don't really think my home specifically will be affected much. I mean, it's very possible. Um, and that's obviously a thought lingering in my head is, what about windows? What about um, even our accessibility to clean water is a threat. Our campus is right along the Hillsborough River, and so campus regularly floods, not necessarily buildings, but like there's a park along on campus right next to the river that is constantly flooding. But I've been thinking a lot about, due to the storm surge and winds and etc., what the state of our campus will look like at the end of this. And again, just the communities along the water, Davis Island being one of them. TGH, our like level 1 trauma center and major hospital, the biggest in the area, is at it's so low in the ground and so close to the water. It's literally right on the water. And again, they have a lot of infrastructure to help combat this severe weather, but thinking about all the first responders that are stuck there, and just doing their best to protect our community. My thoughts go out to them and their families. But yeah, I guess my parents were talking about like how they can help, and I've been talking to other people that aren't from the area, other family members who've said like, we want to best support this community. We want to help. How can we do that? Um, I'm not sure right now, honestly. I'm trying to do the best too. Obviously, like I need to meet my own needs and keep myself safe, but on top of that, I do want to help those people who are losing their homes and all that they own. I really think the best way is just to volunteer your time. I volunteered for a few hours, literally a few hours, and we made 4,000 meals. Um, that's 4,000 people that were not fed otherwise, but were because we were able to help out. They're called Operation Barbecue Relief. Great organization, by the way. I strongly encourage you to check them out. They're national. They travel all over to help um, people experiencing natural oh my goodness, natural disasters of some sort, hurricanes included, obviously. Great organization. So definitely encourage you to get involved if they're local to you at all. But yeah, just sort of volunteering your time, I think, is a great way. Donating supplies, whether that be money, like monetary donations, or donating food, or anything, clothing to people who've lost clothing, baby products to young families, things like formula and um, other things that they could have lost, bed, like cribs, like these families are literally losing everything they own, and so it's kind of like, okay, where do I start? Like, how do I help? But there's so many resources. I'm gonna try to post some of those resources on the subconscious medicine because I think it's really important to give people resources. What stops a lot of people from donating or helping in these types of situations is they don't know where to give or where to donate. And so, as like a Florida local, I feel like it's my responsibility to help disseminate those resources to people who can and are willing to help. So I'm gonna try to do that. But yeah, please just keep Florida in your thoughts. Oh, so I don't even think I said. So yeah, I flew out of Orlando at 9 p.m. last night, and I am currently in Kansas City, Missouri. Never been to the Midwest. Can officially knock it off my bucket. Actually, I'm not sure that it was ever on my bucket list, but I'm here. So my boyfriend lives in Kansas, or Salina, Kansas, rather. It is confusing that this is called Kansas City, but it's in Missouri. There is also a Kansas City, Kansas, but this is besides the point. He lives in Kansas, but he flies out of the Kansas City, Missouri airport. Um, just so happens that, of course, he's home right now. So when I was initially going to fly, I was just going to fly, stay with him, but of course he's home. And by home, I mean in Connecticut. So I flew to Kansas City, Missouri. I'm here for about 2 or 3 days by myself, and then he will be flying back here and joining me. And, my travel day was really, really hectic trying to find a flight, trying to find a hotel that I can book under the age of 21, dealing with the delay and weather and all of this and doing it all on my own has not been easy, but I think it's just a testament to like my growth as a person, and I'm really grateful that I am independent and that I was able to do what I needed to do to get out of there. Again, by no means was it easy, and it was an extremely stressful 48 hours. Honestly, 2 weeks, even the last hurricane as well. Luckily, the last one I was able to evacuate with my friend and roommate to her family home in Boca. So that was great, and really, really appreciated the gratitude of um, herself and her father, who welcomed me so willingly into their home. I am not sure what I would have done without them, so I really, really appreciate that. This time circumstances were a bit different, but I am so beyond grateful that I was able to leave. Things really didn't feel like they were lining up, and so I was not confident that I was going to get out of there before the storm. In which case, I think again I would have just driven north, maybe, or as far as I could, or just found a hotel in Orlando. But like even that, it's not easy. Like trying to find a hotel, I literally sat there for hours calling all of these hotels. There's three, in case you're wondering, in case you're planning a trip to Kansas City, Missouri, or Missouri in general. There are three hotels in the entire state that I could find that allow under 21 age check in. Three. I'm 20, so that eliminates almost every hotel. And then among those three, two completely unaffordable, like completely. And so I'm here. It's not a great hotel. Um, it's probably it's definitely not the nicest and probably not even the safest, and that sucks, especially when I'm all alone and I just want to feel at home and I just want to feel safe, and instead I'm like lonely and scared. But it's safer than being in Florida right now, especially being in Tampa. And yeah, I my heart just goes out to again all the families that couldn't leave that are going to be, or those that are going to be affected by this hurricane. I really don't know what I'm going to be walking into when I get home, and that's a really, really, really scary thought. But we're a really, really strong community in Tampa, and I know we'll figure it out. But yeah, so I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. The day I'm recording this is, oh my god, all the days are blurring together. Wednesday. I landed at the airport last night in Kansas City around like 11:30. I luckily there's a shuttle from the airport to the hotel. It was about 10 minutes, not bad at all. Took that, checked in, pretty much knocked out. Ate a little something. Luckily, I had gotten food at the Orlando airport that I saved for dinner because there was no food. Everything was closed. Which honestly, I got home last night and I was like, I just want to go to bed. But I was like, no, Ella, you need to eat. I hadn't eaten in hours, and I was like, you need to eat something. So um, ate and pretty much just went to sleep. And I've just been trying to keep myself occupied today. Again, really trying to look at the silver lining. I'm going to be alone for a few days, but I get to see my partner, and I didn't expect that. I didn't, we spend a lot most of the time apart, and the fact that I'm going to get to see him for 48 hours is pretty nice, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to that. So, just trying to look at the positives. I'm going to get to explore a new city that I've never been to and that I wouldn't have been able to visit otherwise. Um, I was able to go for a run this morning, and I'm able to record a podcast now and hopefully like pick back up with this. And I'm just trying to look at the positives right now, and I think that's all that we can do. in these types of situations where there's so much uncertainty and we're far away from the city that we call home. And yeah, so I'm just thinking of our Tampa Bay community and all the other communities that will be affected by this hurricane and future ones and past ones. And yeah, we'll figure it out. So that's my little life update. Trying to think if I missed anything. So yeah, school is going well, all things considered. Obviously, this whole week of classes is canceled, which is crazy. So we were canceled Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for Hurricane Helene, and then this time we're canceled Monday through Friday, the whole week, and possibly into the next week. Again, depends on damage and the state of campus after this storm rolls through. So missing a lot of school, and it's making our professors, I'm sure, really, really stressed and putting them under a lot of pressure. We also don't give them enough credit as students, and we need to recognize that not only are they stressed about trying to fit all this content into a very short semester now, but also maybe their homes or their families are being affected by these storms as well. So please give grace to professors and just try to be flexible as a student with them, because they're also just trying their best, as well as administrators. They're really trying their best and trying to make sure that we're all safe and supported, but also trying to get us back on track to the best of their abilities. So again, it's moments like these that are so just filled with uncertainty and filled with chaos and just so hectic that I think it's of the utmost importance to take a step back and just be overwhelmingly appreciative for the little things and the people that we have in our lives. Again, there are families that have lost everything, and it's so tragic. I'm lucky that I was not personally affected by the last hurricane, and hopefully I'm not by this one either, in terms of like my home, but there are a lot of families who are, and they need our support more than ever. So, not to end this on a dim mood, but again, if you are a Tampa local or Florida native, thinking of you and just praying for your safety. And if you're not being affected by these hurricanes, again, please do seek out resources to help and to show your support, because the communities that are affected need your help more than ever. But yeah, I'm actually so glad that we were able to catch up a little bit. Again, it's been so long. As you can tell, life has been really, really, really busy. And yeah, but it feels great to just vent, to get things off my chest, talk to my camera again. It's actually really therapeutic for myself. So, as much as I hope you guys enjoy it, I enjoy it too. So, that's where we're at. I'm even considering maybe record another episode or two to just have them stacked so that hopefully we can get back to regular scheduled programming. Obviously, this, no offense, but is not my priority at the moment. My priority is keeping myself and my loved ones safe. And yeah, so I don't mean to push this to the back burner, but also I think it's important that I prioritize that for myself. So I'm going to do my best to get back on track with this project, this amazing podcast that I love so much, and I really want to actually dedicate time and effort to. So this sort of week, being out of my norm, having nothing to do, seemed like a great opportunity to do that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for listening. I'm so glad we were able to catch up. I'd love to hear what's going on in your life below. If you're affected, heart goes out to you. If you're not, please, please, please think of ways that you can get involved and you can support our communities. But yeah, wishing you all nothing but health and safety during this time, and thinking of you all. But thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope that we can talk again soon. Bye, guys.